Hello, lovely people. It is Sakino on Sunday again. This Sunday is Easter for the Christian people. They celebrate the resurrection of Christ. For me, I was brought up Christian. Easter never was such an important day for me. But in the last couple of days, I was thinking about the deeper meaning of death and resurrection. And I want to share a few thoughts that I had. But first, I want to share something that I am experiencing recently, especially during this time of lockdown and Corona. Sometimes I have conversations with colleagues and we are sharing reflections, thoughts about particular issues. And I had a conversation with a few colleagues about trauma, and we were also talking about fear and how to deal with fear. And I was a little bit surprised. Actually, I was even not only surprised, I was a bit shocked that without an exception, my colleagues were expressing that to overcome fear, you just have to focus on something else. And my opinion about that was completely different. I think when someone comes to me, a client who is fearful about anything, the first thing I will do, I will take that fear serious and I will try to come with that person to a point to look at that fear. What is the fear about? So not to turn away and ignore it, but to give it some research, some inquiry. What does the fear want to say? What does it want to tell? And then also looking at, is that fear valid? Is that what the person is afraid of? Something that's probably really going to happen? If so, then the fear is valid and we can think about possibilities, what to do about it, about the things that that person is afraid of. If that fear does not have a source that's really like possible to happen, then we will look where that fear comes from. Usually, this is my experience, also in my own fears. All fears are based in existential fears. The fear of dying, the fear of losing everything, the fear of losing loved people, the fear of losing work or income, home, friends. And all those fears are valid. It doesn't mean that this is what the person is deep down afraid of is going to happen now or within a couple of days. But in the end of the day, as we say, we all are going to die one day. We all are going to lose our loved ones one day. So that fear, this very deep existential fear, is valid. And it's good to take a little time to inquire instead of saying, well, turn away from it and turn to your resources. This you can do additionally, and it's very recommendable that in times of insecurity, we are focusing on the things that we have power over, like how we can spend our days, how we are relating to our loved ones, how we deal with, well, issues that come along our way. So that's what I wanted to share in the beginning, because it kept me busy over the last days or so. And then back to Easter. Well, what this story of death and resurrection says is that after every death, something new is being created. And for me, it's not so important if someone believes in God and Jesus standing up from the grave. This is not the point so much for me. For me, it's more, is it possible that after something or someone has died, which also includes parts of us inside of us that are dying, is there a life after that? Is that possible? And just in this moment, I am thinking of myself and of the end of my marriage, which is now 10 years, 11 years ago. When that happened, in that moment, I thought my life was over. And in fact, it was over in the sense that how my life was until then, that was over. And there was no going back. But I was devastated, deeply wounded, and I was not sure if I would ever come back to life again. But I did. I did. Of course, I had so much help, so much support from friends, from therapists, from everywhere. But I resurrected from that death. And I recreated my life. And I think, I feel, believe that today I am as happy as I can be, as fulfilled as I possibly can be. I'm living exactly the life I want to live. I have meaning in my life. And the meaning comes from what I'm doing with passion. My teaching, my work with clients, my conversations with friends, my connections with dear, dear people in my life. And this Easter reminds me again of that. Coming back to life after a time of, you might say, of dying, of crisis, of dark nights of the soul. So in that sense, but it's only possible when we face those dark times, when we go through them, which is sometimes, at least it was for me, almost impossible to handle because it's so painful. So in that sense, I was thinking of Jesus and Easter and the message of Easter, death and resurrection. And even if I'm not a believer in that sense, I still get meaning from that message. So I wish you a happy Easter, and may you enjoy this time of year, which is also the time when new life is starting in nature. And for me, looking at the flowers on my balcony, how they are getting greener every day, is also giving me this feeling of resurrection is possible. In nature, it happens every year. And that gives me hope. Thank you for listening. Happy Easter. See you next Sunday.